trying to follow GPS because it.
I had it once at Office Days. The snowstorm started at 4 o'clock, which meant that they had no time to clear it.
No.
So I gave myself 2.5 hours. It took 3.5 hours.
Interesting.
And luckily I did very well when I called.
I don't know. My impression is yes. All good? Okay. All right, I think we're ready to go. Thank you for coming, everyone, and welcome to this special meeting of the Skokie Appearance Commission on this October 25th. We only have one case to hear tonight. The meeting's at the special request of the petitioner. And just to keep things moving, I'm going to read the comments into the record myself, and I'm also going to ask you now to rise if you're going to give testimony to be sworn in, and I'll do that as well. So raise your right hand if you're going to give a testimony. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give tonight to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay. So the case that we have tonight is a continuation of case number 2022-067A at 4600 Main Street. The staff has no objections to the updated elevations and fencing detail. The elevations appear to have addressed the commissioner's concerns that were brought up at the October 11th meeting. As a reminder, any lighting from the site must not spill over to abutting properties. Staff recommends approval as presented. So your case has been called.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate your being here tonight on a special night for this. This sounds really loud, or is this okay for everyone?
Okay with me.
Getting a lot of pushback from it, great. So one of the, when we resubmitted our plans to you, we followed your direction at the last meeting, where you asked us specifically and confirmed that this was not a meeting, we had finished public comment, this was not a meeting to go back over the other issues. You had a specific number of items you wanted to go to. And you should all have, when we submitted this, I think a couple weeks ago, to you, yeah, you should have this list. Since you got it in front of you, I won't read through every single one of them because the architect will be doing that. But these are the items based on the record that you specifically asked us to address, that's all we're going to address today are those items and what we have done to meet those. We hope you'll appreciate the changes that are here. We really do appreciate, and that at the last meeting, many of the things that we had met with people in the community on that they had raised, and we had changed our plans to, you supported those and asked us to put many of those back into the project, and that's exactly what we've done. We also appreciate that the staff, who'd had some concerns with those before, looked at our new changes and approved them. So I think we've hopefully reached a conclusion that you will hopefully agree is exactly where we wanted to be. With all that being said, I've always believed a parents commission is for our architects, so I'm going to let our architect come up and walk through specifically the changes. I think while you've got the 9 items in front of you, he's likely going to do them in a slightly different order, but we will get through all 9 of these items and then be happy to respond to any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mike Durone, Fitzgerald Associates Architects. Happy to be here talking to you tonight. I do want to start with the site plan, actually, if we could, Brian. And this will take things a little bit out of order, but there's a couple of general things on the site plan that I thought we should address first. And it actually starts with the last item that's on the list about the north roadway. The suggestion was to try and minimize its width wherever possible, increase the landscaping along the north property line to our northern neighbors, working with our civil engineer to address fire department turning radiuses, as well as trying to preserve the guest parking that we had on both of the east and the west ends. We were able to increase the width of that landscape island. You'll see in the centers, sort of away from the parking spaces at the end, and then there's a little bit of an inlet right in the center of the property, because that's where there will be a new fire hydrant installed on the south side of that north private drive lane. We want to preserve a little extra space there for fire department access. We did reduce the drive lane to 20 feet from the 24 feet, so it does vary in width between 20 and 24 feet. It did give us 4 feet more of landscaping, a little bit more buffer along that north property line. And that, along with a slight enhancement to where the non-permeable pavers are, where they drop down just a little bit farther down each of the private drive lanes, we've been able to reduce our impermeable area to 65%. So there's no longer a need to ask for the exception to that requirement. That addresses the landscape along the north end. The next slide should be our fence detail. Oh, there's the calculations for the 65% impermeable area. The fence that we're proposing along the north side is a preservative-treated wood fence, a traditional board-to-board fence that maybe we tried to show that as clearly as possible, with running rails that would stay visible on our side of the property, so the finished face would face to the north. There would be a cap board as well to cap the top of it. That helps preserve the fence because it prevents wood from getting, or rain and snow getting into the end grain of the wood. And then all of the fence, although not shown here, would have a 42-inch deep foundation set in concrete, capped by the earth so that it doesn't move with the frost through the seasons. If we can go back to the site plan, item number 4 is about the 2 pocket parks along Kilpatrick and Kenton. And we have removed the fence. If you zoom in on those, you can see it a little bit. Either one of them, it doesn't make a difference. We did remove the fence along the public way as well as the south property line, or sorry, the south edge of the recreational areas, so that remains as open as possible. The wood fence that I showed you would run all the way to the outside edge of our property line, out to the public sidewalk, which is where the current existing fence closes that yard. We would maintain that. And then we're looking at a small fence that would separate the parking spaces from the parkway, just so that the drivers have a visual barrier, plus some landscaping there on the park side so that there's a screen from the street of the parking that's at those two guest spot locations. We can look at the cut sheets for the two light fixtures, but I just wanted to talk about them on the site plan to say that there's two exterior lights that we're planning. One is in the entry canopies over the front doors of all of the townhouses. That would be a recessed light that would shine down on the stoop in front of each one. And then the second fixture is a surface mounted fixture that's fairly shallow that would sit above the garage doors of each of the townhouses. It only shines down, so it would only light the drive lane in front of each of the townhouses. That's where the two light fixtures would exist, and we provided cut sheets so you can see. The one is a recessed can light, all you'll see is the ring of the light. The other one is a shallow box light. It's an LED high performance fixture. That's the can light that would sit inside the canopy. And the next sheet, one more. Oh, sorry, warranties. This is the box light, and you can see it's a fair, if you zoom in up on the top corner there, Brian, that will help us, we can all see the dimensions of it. They're about 9 inches high, a foot wide, and they project about 4 inches. And so those will sit underneath the balconies above the garage doors on the back elevation along the private drives. That addresses items 4, 5, 6, and 9. The remaining items will flip to the elevation sheet, and we can talk about the changes that we've made to the building elevations from here. Taking to heart the comments that we heard about hardy board and some of the massing of the buildings, we took a new look at how to enhance the building facades, both from the corner elevation, which you see now on the far right side of the image there, and the windows that would face out onto Kenton or Kilpatrick, along with some changes to the materials along the face of the building. So we've removed the vast majority of the hardy panel siding. It only now exists between the second and third floor windows. It's item number 6 that's being pointed out on those elevations. We've also changed the color of it to the muted gray. All the materials are here on the front table. I can pass them to you, or I can hold them up if you want to get a better view. We did not change the two brick colors that we showed you last week, the tan brick and the red brick. However, we did add a third brick color and changed a couple of different locations where we added different brick patterning. And so, hang on. These are the first two.
To the microphone, please.
So these are the first two, the red and the tan. It's a tan iron spot. The iron spot brick actually uses recycled material. That's what creates the iron spot. So we've chosen that for its look as well as its sustainable features. The third brick that we've added has a little bit of texture to it, and it helps us do a couple of things. We've placed it in a stack bond to separate some of the townhouses, and so you can see at each of those blue lines that separates two of the units, we're placing 2 courses of this side by side in a stack bond, so they create a vertical line essentially that separates the apartments. And then in that same location, we've extended the red brick over to the next bay, so that it splits that. It's above the 2 entries, which is now covered by a single canopy, which was one of the requested items on the list. The brick between those 2 single windows would be this same brick, but would be in that basket weave pattern that you see shown on the top of the screen. It's item number 3 that's pointed out on the elevation.
Could you, Brian, could you enlarge that a little bit and show us where the stack bond is going to occur a little bit more clearly?
So the blue lines, they show where each of the townhouses are separated. And so between the first and the second units there, with the address identifiers, we've added new address numbers. You can see the two stack bond courses there. They run all the way up through the entire height of the building. They do the same between the next two unit entries as well. So they exist in 3 spots where each of the unit entries are, so that it helps to define which address is which home, since they're covered by a single canopy over the front stoop. The other thing that we've done in plan in this same area is we've recessed this wall 1 foot, so that there creates a little bit more playfulness and shadow lines that'll happen across the height of the building.
I know during the last meeting, which I was not here for, but I watched today, there was a lot of conversation about the Hardy cement board. Is that now replaced with the beige colored
Yeah,
brick?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. In the 2 elevation spots that were highlighted with that Hardy panel before, it was in the middle here where the beige brick was partially. We've replaced it entirely in the middle. And then the other place where it was changed is where the red brick now exists above the townhouse entries. And that's where we replaced it with the red brick, as well as this darker red brick in the stack bond, as well as the basket weave between the 2 windows. So the limited area that now exists where the Hardy exists is called out item number 6. It is that spandrel panel between the 2 windows.
Right.
And it happens at the 2nd floor here, where it's surrounded by the red brick. And on the N2 units, it happens between the 2nd and the 3rd floors. We did change the color. I think this is going to fall. We changed it from the stark white that we had before to this muted gray, so it's got a little bit softer appearance, doesn't call quite as much attention to itself. Additionally, we started looking at the windows and how the windows were framed, how they interacted with the masonry. We're proposing to change the windows to a dark charcoal fiberglass instead of the white. Creates a real difference in appearance. We think it creates a great look against both the bricks, especially drawing out some of the color of the iron spot in the yellow brick. And then we've also gone and we've added this dark cast stone that's on our material board here. We've added that above the 2-story windows in each location. We've added it above the transom windows that have been added to the 2 street end elevations. And we've also added it to the sills in a couple of other strategic locations, primarily above those, at those 2 windows that are above the entries, as well as the separator between the red brick and the tan brick there in the center. So that we now created a couple of different opportunities where we've got a really sort of meaty sill that helps to define each of the windows.
And that does project, it's proud of the,
Absolutely, for proper drainage. Yes, yeah, it'll have a good overhang with a drip edge on the bottom side of
perfect.
it. And then lastly, 2 things. So the metal cornice at the top, we've enhanced in a couple of locations. So it's a little bit taller than what you had previously seen. We'd given it a little bit of height. We're trying to give it a little bit of a profile so that it creates a shadow at the top. So you can see, if you zoom in real close on it, Brian, you can see the edge profile that kind of helps define what we're doing there. It comes down straight, cuts back in a little bit, and then comes back out over the top of the wall. That will help create some real nice shadow lines. Also helps to define each of these different townhouse segments. That is the same metal that we'll be using to wrap the canopies over the 2 combined entries. And then lastly, we did refine the paint color of the front door. It was somewhere between blue and gray before. Because of some of these other material changes, we've picked more of I'll call it a slate gray that we're showing here on this board. And then each of the front entry doors, the front doors will be solid. We'll use a side light to provide some viewing at each of the front doors so that you can see who's there. And then added the numbering for each address alongside the side light. So in addition to these samples, we do have the printed board here with us that shows all the same materials. It's the same sheet that was in your packets, just to try and help give you a better sense of the right colors, since we can't control monitor colors. And I believe that covers everything that we wanted to talk about. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. A quick question for me, I think I know the answer, but the side lights on the entry doors, is it privacy glass or some sort of, they're not clear, are they?
We'll probably provide them clear, but we may be providing some sort of window treatment. We may change, the one change I could see us doing is providing a small spot where it is clear and the rest privacy, to try and keep that a little bit more private. We just want people to be able to see any visitors that are approaching the front door.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Joe, what do you think?
No, you hit everything that I asked for at the last meeting. I really like that you got even more, a little bit more creative, and the dark browns or the charcoal windows, I think, is a big improvement with this design. The white was kind of a more traditional style. And the dark sills are really also was kind of where I was trying to ask for something, I wasn't sure what it was, but you figured it out. And I also like how creative you got with the driveway on the north side, allowing the fire lane, but then also going above and meeting the 65% coverage. So that was really, really good. The only comment I have is the fixtures, particularly in the back, on the garage side, just that they're a lower wattage, warmer hue rather than the kind of blue.
Oh yeah, no blue lights. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of garages in a row, and it's going to be kind of confined space.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree that 2700 Kelvin is the right temperature for those lights. Maybe
Yeah, so
3000,
Yeah.
but not above that.
So in your selection, just try to pick a warmer hue light.
Got it. Absolutely agree with
That's
that.
my suggestion.
No, I completely agree. In a residential setting, it definitely feels more home-like. We want people to feel like they're being welcomed home when they arrive to their garage.
There was a remodel down the street on Main Street, and they did what they could, and then at the last minute they put on these really bright, kind of bluish lights, and it's.
You can ruin good architecture with bad lights.
Yeah, but you notice it. I don't know. It's just because it's so different than the neighborhood, and because everything else is really kind of dark and it's quiet, it's residential.
Yep.
And those really heavy LED lights are definitely out of character.
Totally agree.
So.
Thank you. Anyone else? Shauna, what are your thoughts?
Good.
Okay? No comments?
No.
Okay. Mary Jane?
Yeah, I'm pleased with what they've come up with now,
Okay.
especially the landscape buffer, on the north side.
Being a little wider.
Yeah,
Okay. Thought you'd like that. Jay? Okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right. I guess there are some neighbors still here. So I only saw one hand go up for testimony, maybe two. Comments from neighbors? Good evening.
Relax, it's under a minute.
I understand.
And I'm sorry to the women up there because I didn't expect to see you here, but 135 neighbors signed petitions hating this ugly project. Nobody wants it, yet you are shoving it down our throats. If you lived in my house, which is adjacent to the schoolyard, what would your wife say about 68 three-story apartments and 200 transients living next door? She'd be horrified, and you'd say, You don't understand, honey. My job is to indulge a prejudiced mayor and enrich a greedy cult and a greedy contractor. So when a witless stooge tells me, vote, I have to say, aye! Get used to it, honey. Have a nice night, puppets.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other comments?
Good evening.
How you doing?
Ken Marley, 4651 Elm Terrace. Brian, would you do me a favor and go to the slide with the elevations on it? Because I haven't had, yeah, with the full site elevations, because it wasn't included in Friday's packet, and I haven't had an opportunity to even take a look at the full proposal.
The previous submittal with the full elevations?
So there was one of your slides tonight had, the full Main Street view. Yeah, that was not included in the packet. That one. Yeah, we didn't get that one.
Yeah, this is from the previous meeting.
Okay.
They just
so-
submitted the partial showing the,
Okay, so we don't have,
detail
any
changes.
full views of the, okay. All right, in that case, would you do me the favor of pulling up the PDF? Let's go to the next page on it, second page on it. So as you're familiar, in the past, we've circulated letters with our concerns to the commission. The changes expected tonight were so minor that, such an effort was not undertaken. This was a very low-key effort of people who are, interested in providing, honest feedback about the appearance of the buildings themselves. And provided on this map are the 16 respondents to that poll to say, hey, scale of 1 to 10, what do you think about it? How does it look to you? People who live, the majority are people who live, heck, that's all within a half mile, right? And the response has been overwhelmingly meh. It's a technical term. With the exception of a single outlier that gave it a 9 out of 10, everyone else is in the 6 and below category. And provided to the commission with this as well on the first page, I think 14 of the 16 individuals gave their opinions as to what, didn't meet expectations on this. And, I can only, tonight represent my own feelings on it. I'm the 6. If you look at about 8:30 on the clock, I'm the 6. It's definitely an improvement over what was presented before, but it's still very patchwork. There are, by my count, looking at the elevation, there's 3 main facade materials chosen, and then 2 accents with 3 patterns. And that's a lot going on. It seems very busy. And buildings in the area, they might have a primary brick and 2 accents. And so to have 3 and 3, I understand the goal is perhaps to try to match the character of some of the buildings around, but I think it's a mistake to try to match the character of every single building you can throw a stone at. It's overly complicated. Another question I would like to raise is regarding the cement panels that are used in the design. At the previous meeting, it was explained that the fiber cement panels were critical in providing facade in those spandrel regions. It sounded like due to some constructability issue. And I was surprised to find that on the proposal that there are both spandrel panels with cement board and there's spandrel panels with conventional brick facade. And so I failed to grasp then what the intent is on introducing, an additional facade material on an already busy face. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other concerned neighbor comments? No? Thank you. Do you guys want to rebut any of what that you've just heard?
I'll keep it brief, and allow Mike to also comment. Whoa. It's heavy brick. You know, clearly, we think, having worked with the community and worked with the staff and worked with you, that we've come up with a great solution here. Obviously, it was not a solution aimed at matching every single building in the area. And if we had done it all in one color, that would have been rejected too. So, you know, we like what is there. I'm gonna let Mike comment on it, but we're obviously happy to respond if there are any of those concerns that were raised that you have an issue with.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. You know, architecture is one of those things that's beauty in the eye of the beholder. And everybody will say they love something and everybody will say they hate something or find displeasure with the way some architecture is created. There are some tried and true methods of creating good elevation design, and one of them is offsetting a spandrel panel from the surrounding fields with either an alternate material or a similar material in a different pattern. And what we were trying to create based on the comments and the feedback we heard last meeting was some of that alternative palette. We still stand by brick is the right solution for this. It fits in with the nature of the community. It doesn't all have to be matchy-matchy. Some of it needs to challenge the times that we live in versus looking back. We heard that through the comments, through our changes the last couple of meetings. I would also say that some of what we've been trying to achieve is some of the traditional vernacular of there's a base, a middle, and a top to these kinds of buildings. And I think that's something that resonates with a lot of people in the way that homes look. They have a base that anchors it to the ground. We've tried to do that with the stone and the brick at the entries to hold the buildings to the ground. We've tried to change it as it elevates through the building, but also hold it all together with a couple of materials. Are they different from one another? Yes, but they're very complementary to one another. And at the same time, the use of the different materials and the drastic color change between the yellow brick and the red brick was also to try and help those that do live there feel like they have a little bit of individuality rather than living in a single colored building. We had actually proposed a two-color brick building that was very solid, that wasn't very warmly received. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the use of multiple materials helps keep the scale of a building from feeling too overwhelming and too large. We've certainly heard that comment as this project has evolved. And some of what we're trying to do here is to achieve just that, is to keep it to a human scale. The introduction of some of the brick patterning that we shared, that we heard and that we've included now, is to help do that. It's to help give it a little bit of life and character as you approach your home, as your neighbors come to visit you. And so there's a lot of feelings I think that architecture evokes, and that's some of what we're trying to achieve. Can spandrel panels be something other than hardy? Sure, but hardy works very well in a residential setting, and it still does provide for a nice flat finish that helps to create a really nice modern looking two-story feature to most of those townhouses. It happens either at the first or second floor, or second or third floor. Those are some of the things that we were trying to achieve with the design changes that we've presented here tonight.
Have you shown them the white stone in the box over there?
Oh,
No, what's in the box there?
oh. I guess to finish my point about, there's a building that has a base, middle, and a top, and having some texture to the stone at the base is important because, dang it.
I'm so glad you did that after.
The wall on the north side.
But the texturing of stone at the base of a building, right, is something that we've all seen long held in a lot of traditional buildings that anchor it to the ground, and that's why we're proposing the use of this underneath the red stone, or the red brick.
Can you comment to the comment about constructability of the spandrel and the material?
Either are challenging, whether it's having a steel lintel to hold the brick up, or having the edge and the framing of the fiber cement panels. There will be seams likely in that panel. They don't make them large enough to cover that entire space. And so we're gonna have to work and make sure that there's a right seam. Our intention is that it's a small reveal so that it doesn't show. That's why we don't have any lines showing it where that would happen on the plans or on the elevations. We don't wanna create another line on the elevation that your eye would be drawn to.
Sure. Joe?
We, all along, I think, the comments have been, it's too industrial, the hardy panel doesn't work, and so we asked last time for more masonry and to provide, kind of an interest to the masonry, and you did that. And you removed a lot of the hardy panel, which some people are gonna like, some people are not, but we, you know, you've done a really good job of knitting together all the comments without having a design, a camel. So, you know, there's always gonna be, you know, we could pick at it and say it doesn't fit the fifties motif to the buildings to the west, it doesn't fit the forties Georgian style of buildings to the south. It's not going to. And I think you were able to bring in the materials and the kind of the form, how the windows lay, as well as you could to try to pick up with the seventies and the fifties and the forties and without creating a camel.
Thank you. Any other comments? One more.
Again, just very briefly. Yeah, you're fine. You know, it was unclear to me, you know, as you mentioned that the two-tone approach was not warmly received. It's unclear to me who you mean it was not warmly received by. I know that, you know, something like that had been shown to the community and received very favorable opinion from the community. And I think that, you know, our opinion should matter. We have to live next to this thing. Everyone else is going to spend 30 seconds driving by this when they're trying to get down to Skokie in Maine. We have to look at it every day. So, you know, I realize that a lot of the motivation came from staff recommendations as well, but I'd also like to point out that, you know, village staff has recommended every iteration, which included all of the substantial change that you guys have fortunately requested of the developers to make. So again, I don't understand, you know, by whom was the two-tone approach poorly received? And, you know, all due respect, are we just trying to satisfy you?
Well, I'm the loudest one up here, and I apologize.
Oh, no, I'm making jokes here. I'm not, Yeah. Thank you.
Was the two-tone addressed towards my comment, or? 'Cause I
No,
don't
no,
remember
just,
making
no.
that comment.
No.
'Cause if it were all one color, I would be very happy, but I'm only one person in the neighborhood, and I do live in this neighborhood, so,
Yeah, over by the golf course on, which one?
Lee Street.
Lee Street. 30 seconds a day, though, you'll just zip right by.
I walk everywhere, every day.
All right. Last shots? Anybody? Petitioner? All good?
Good.
Neighbors?
Could we see the materials? I mean, you've seen them.
Please come up.
Can you come up?
Please come up.
Are they bricks or are they thin like this?
So these are
Are they brick?
samples, so they will be full dead bricks. They'll be 4
Not
inches
face
deep.
brick.
No, they won't be glued onto anything with
Okay.
caulk or sealant or any other magic glue
And
material.
then what goes over the windows?
This dark cast stone,
The dark one.
this one.
Okay.
And at the base, it's this one.
Okay. And the door paint? And what's this
That's
for?
this. This cast stone occurs. This cast stone happens as a band to break this material from the red brick.
I see. Are these images of trees, are these
Yeah,
gonna be how big those trees
Those are the
eventually
existing
be?
trees. We've tried to overlay the existing trees along with the new planting
Oh,
at the
okay,
base
so
of the
this
building.
is Kilpatrick then?
No,
Is
it's
it?
Main Street.
It's Main Street?
Yeah.
So you're not taking all the Main Street trees down?
No.
Oh, it looked like you
There's
were.
only two, if I remember right.
Oh,
As few as possible.
so, but this, is this Main Street or
Yes,
Kenton?
no, this is Main.
That's Main Street.
This is Main, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is
It's
Kilpatrick?
Kilpatrick, that's what I
Okay.
thought, cause
Sorry.
I recognize these trees.
Gotcha.
We walk in the neighborhood.
And the video that you've seen before was actually based on them going out and citing every single tree that's there, plus adding to that all the trees.
Right, but they have X's on them, and it says in the plan that those are gonna be removed.
There are a few that will be removed.
Right,
Yes.
so on the other side, the Kenton side, is there gonna be anything like this?
I'd have to look at our landscape plan to be able to answer that question. I don't have it memorized.
The balconies are metal, obviously.
Yeah, the balconies on the back will be,
And the material and color are the same as,
they'll be the same paint color.
okay. And where can I find a list of the landscaping materials?
The full landscape plan is in our full application with all the species and locations.
And most are native?
Yes. I think there's one exception because, it is a hardy material, but there's one I think that isn't.
You've used a Japanese maple, or a Japanese lilac,
Yeah.
which is not native.
Which is not native, yeah, thank you.
Native to the Skokie, northern Illinois
Right,
area,
right.
not just native to the US.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I feel like I want to make a comment, but I don't want to offend anyone. But I'm going to make it anyway. You know, I get that there's passions from any concerned neighbor about what a project like this is going to look like from their window, from their backyard, from their street. What it's not going to look like, in my view, though, is another house. Okay, these are not houses; they're townhomes. They are residences, but I sense that you're expecting them to look like the house next door. And I might be wrong. I see a head shaking. That's fine. And they won't, simply. They're not designed to be that. So, you know, that's my comment. I personally like the design. I think, you know, the introduction of alternating colors is a good thing. But again, that's just my opinion. I think the petitioner has done a good job in adding more interest and more texture and more topography to the facade, some of which was requested, some of which was already there. So I'll leave it at that. And if there are no further comments, I'm going to ask if anyone is interested in making a motion to certify.
I'll make a motion to certify. Certificate of appropriateness be granted for case number, wherever we are, 2022-067A at 4600 Main Street, as proposed, with the stipulation that they look for a warmer and low voltage light, LED light.
Does anyone second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No opposed, so passed. Good luck with the project. Thank you, neighbors, for your comments.
Thank you very much. We know it's been a lot of time and effort, and we appreciate everything that you've done